Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, race number 8 at Saratoga on Travers Saturday is the Grade 1 H. Allen Jerkens Stakes going 7 furlongs, formerly known as the King's Bishop. Let's take a look at this field. This is the foremost race for 3-year-old sprinters in North America. You've got a field of 9. Bob Baffert chips in the number 9, American Anthem, 2-1 on the morning line. He was really good in the Woody Stevens at Belmont on Belmont Stakes Day. I mean, he was just tracking outside. He cruised up on the outside. He won it nicely, and he's going to get a similar setup here. But does it bother you a little bit that Baffert could do no wrong on Belmont Stakes Day?
A little bit, yeah. And I mean, let's call a spade a spade. It's not like Bob's having a bad meet at Del Mar or anything like that.
But I think he did well in the Pacific Classic.
It's not, but it hasn't been. He's only like 23%. I say only, instead of clipping at the 35 that he was hitting at for the majority of this year. I still think he's arguably the horse to beat in here simply because of what you laid out. Not only does he have fast races and he's beating good company, he's probably going to trip out in here.
Oh, I think he's just going to get a great trip. There's got to be some gas in this race.
Yeah, there has to be.
We'll cue up the Timeform US pace projector in here, and I'm not sure I agree with the pace projector completely. I mean, the 6 PHIBETAEXPRESS is a very fast horse for Danny Gargan. We know that Cold Front, the undefeated Cold Front, has speed. I would be very shocked if TAKAFUL is sitting third, however, and if he is sitting third, he could be in big trouble.
That's kind of the way I'm looking at it. I mean, his 2 wins thus far in his career both came sprinting, so obviously this is what he's wanted to do all along. But they've both been outright on the lead, and he is not the most, let's say, handy horse when you get him in amongst traffic. You gotta go. I don't think Jose thinks about it. You break, you go, and that could be what leads to a 44 half mile, because you're gonna have the Gargan horse, who I really like. I think he's really talented. I just think he's overmatched in here. And then you're also going to have Todd's horse. Cold Front is, I think he's a legitimate talent.
Yeah, I'm interested if you agree. If I had to rework the pace projector, I'd have 2 6 up front, 7 sitting third, 9 sitting just off with the 4.
100%. And you know what? I almost would say just shift the 6 and 7 out a path and shoot the 2 up the inside.
There you go. As for PHIBETAEXPRESS,
I think he's really
Danny
good.
Gargan took this horse over. He's run twice. He won off the screen. If you look at the Timeform US pace figures for that last race, just absurd.
Yeah.
And if TAKAFUL can't go with this horse early, you get a sharp horse at a big price on the lead with a positive formulator fact. Over the past year, Danny Gargan, last out winners on dirt in races restricted to 3-year-olds. 45%, a $6.41 ROI. Good, he gets the acid test.
I think a lot of people are still looking at it and going, who is Danny Gargan? Get used to it, because all of his horses are running. I took a shot with his filly a couple weeks ago in the race, not the Whitney, the one that was right before it, and didn't work out, but I kind of feel like it's the same scenario for this horse. Maybe it's just a little bit too much too soon, but at the same time, I think this horse has got a ton of ability, and if for some reason they decide not to go, and we've seen on big days, racetracks can get a little bit biased one way or the other. If he gets out there, this thing could be an interesting one at a big, big number.
How good is Cold Front? 3 starts, 3 wins, big figs in his last 2, 97, 105 in the Amsterdam, the local prep for this race. He might be sitting third just off the speeds in a good spot, getting first drawn on everybody that's coming from the back of the pack. He is stepping up in class, but Todd's done nothing wrong with this horse.
I'll tell you what, I was dubious going into the Amsterdam because in his first 2 starts, he was really weird with his lead changes, different on each occasion. He comes back, he is as professional as it gets in the Amsterdam. He took a little bit of heat, he draws off. Now,
much weaker field.
Much weaker field, and that's the day. Keep in mind, it was also Jim Dandy Day, and people are arguing it was speed and inside and da-da-da-da-da. You know, I'm the last one that's going to buy into a bias. I don't know that I still don't know what to make of that racetrack that day on Jim Dandy Day, because I know he was on the inside, and I know he was speed. He was 3 to 5. I don't care. And guess what? A lot of the other horses that were in that sort of scenario, they were odds on, or they were supposed to do what they were supposed to do. The horses that didn't sort of pan out were the always dreamings and the cloud computings of the world. I gotta be honest, I don't want to make anything of that racetrack that day.
I kind of think that there was a little bit more to it, that it was kind of inside friendly, because if you look at the horse that were in second in this race, it was Excitations, who was last and just shot up down towards the inside. If you don't believe the whole day was speed, for that race it was inside favor, especially. But I'm not taking anything away from. I wonder if he even gets lost in the shuffle a little bit as like the 3rd or 4th choice.
It's going to be interesting to see, because we talked about it a little before we came out. The way that they're going to bet this race, you have 4 horses, and they're not all going to be 5 to 2. There's going to be one of these horses is going to get bet more than the other. The question is, which one's it going to be?
It's been a tale of 2 TAKAFULs throughout his career. 2 sprints, 2 wins, combined 13 1/4 lengths, buyers ranging from 92 to 105.
Yeah.
3 two-turn races, 3 not so good.
Disaster.
Buyers ranging from 29 to 77. TAKAFUL beat a weaker field last time out. It was like breaking sticks. He's going to have to go faster this time around early. I have a feeling this is what he wants to do, and that is sprint. And we've got a positive Kieran McLaughlin formulator fact for the number 2, TAKAFUL. Last out winning 3-year-olds, second off the layoff on dirt, 46%, 295. He gets him sharp off the bench. He keeps him sharp for at least one more. If this horse wins, he's going to have to earn it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is he's going to need to work. He's going to need to work, and probably you can say for the first time in his life, because those other 3 races, they were just unmitigated disasters. He's going to go. He's going to take at least some heat. Whether Cold Front goes with him neck and neck, whether PHIBETAEXPRESS goes with him, they're at least going to push him a little bit. I don't know. There's a part of me that wonders and says, you know what, as awesome as he was, I think it was opening day, as awesome as he was, like you say, much lesser company, and you got some really, really good horses in here. I want him to prove to me that it's legit.
You've always liked the 3 Tail of Silence a little bit. He ran second with his career best buyer by a long way last time out in the Grade 3 Dwyer. Manny Franco, I think, did a very wise thing in that race. He saw that Practical Joke and Joel Rosario down towards the inside. He saw an opportunity. If I try to loop this field, he went early. But if I try to loop this field now, I could lock Rosario in the box, get the jump on him, make him come get me. It all worked out except for one thing. Rosario came, got him. Does that just simply prove Practical Joke's a better horse?
I think it does. And you know, with Tail of Silence, you're right. I've always liked him. He's still very goofy, very green. He changed leads weirdly on the turn and then turned him for home. He came back and he figured things out. I think he's still learning, which is bizarre after 10 starts. Maybe underneath.
From California comes the number 5, Ann Arbor Eddie, who paired up Beyer tops in both races this form cycle and now adds blinkers for trainer Doug O'Neill. That's been a pretty good move for Doug over the past couple of years, according to our formulator fact for Ann Arbor Eddie. Over the past year, 3-year-old only races, dirt blinkers on 21%, a positive ROI. This horse is tough.
Yeah.
He wants to beat you. He wants to look you in the eye and fight all the way down to the wire. We noticed that in his races with California Diamond as a 2-year-old. Now, no match for Mr. Hinks, who's a pretty good 3-year-old in his own right last time out. Good tactical speed. Blinkers on. There are some things to like, other than this is the toughest field he's faced in a real long time since Mastery.
Yeah, I guess I just kind of look at it and say, if you couldn't beat Mr. Hinks, who I really like, been a fan of his since very, very beginning. Yeah, I don't think he can beat this group, but it is worth noting. Edwards going left, he's come back, and he won next up.
That horse had all kinds of trouble in that race. Take out the Mastery races, by the way, for Ann Arbor Eddie. 6 starts, 4 wins, 2 narrow second-place efforts. Not bad at all. Wild Shot, we've always kind of liked turning back in distance with this horse, and I thought that maybe they figured it out. They finally cut him back in the Pat Day Mile. He won really easily. Had to have been the wet track, because his 2 races since then, no good.
You know what? I'm going through last night looking at things, and it just kind of, it
hits you.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know that he's going to be a win candidate, but guess what? I'm going to use him on tickets because this is eerily reminiscent. Okay, his Tampa Bay Derby, no good. The Bluegrass was horrific. I picked him that day, and he stopped like he was, you know what. You come back in the Pat Day Mile and turn back, and essentially it's a turn back.
A giant race.
Giant race. You tried to go to the Woody Stevens, okay, for one reason or another it didn't work out.
Terrible.
But guess what? There was a hot pace that day, and he packed it in. Now you go to the Indiana Derby, you go out there, you set the pace, you pack it in. The Indiana Derby and the Bluegrass look like carbon copies of one another, and now we turn him back. It's also worth noting he doesn't have to go to the lead.
Right.
There's a scenario where he sits in just behind those horses. If all of a sudden they duke against one another and they just kind of pack it in, again, I'm not suggesting he's the likeliest win candidate. I'm going to use him as a C, though, in any sort of multi.
And again, a great general handicapping rule of thumb is turnbacks at these longer sprint distances, 6.5, 7 furlongs. They're very powerful angles. This horse is going to be a good price. No dozing for Arnaud Delacour, second in the Pat Day Mile, third in the Lexington. He was slowly getting good at it. I wonder if he just didn't like Tampa Bay Downs.
It's possible.
You wintered over there, and there were some expectations that he would run okay. It didn't help that he was running against McCracken and Tappert.
Right.
Maybe he also needed a little bit of a class drop. Last time out, handled the 7, and I think that Arnaud Delacour is saying, 3 sprints in his career, 3 wins, this is what he wants to do.
Yeah, it's totally possible. I guess the thing for me, I'm more inclined to think the wet track helps this horse as opposed to Wild Shot, simply because Wild Shot's going to be 2 times the price.
No dozing formulator fact. We know Delacour is a high percentage guy. Past 2 years, last out winners on dirt in 3-year-old only races, 28%. Lots of favorites in there, though. $2.17 ROI. We're going to take a look at our picks in here, and we have to talk about your top selection. A lot of people are going to say that your pick's the most likely winner in this race, the number 1 Practical Joke, because pretty much since day 1, while he's run so well in these 2-turn races, and that just shows his class and ability, this distance is what he wants.
He's a one-turn horse, and I know it sounds like a broken record because everyone and their brother has said it. I just find it odd that now we finally get to the one turn and people are saying, well, you know, there's other horses. You know what? To me, this is what he's wanted all along. He should get a beautiful setup in here. There's going to be speeds. He doesn't have to come from last. He will come from a little bit off the pace. You could make the case that if he doesn't get pinned in behind horses, he wins the Haskell.
Right.
Which, to me, that just goes to show. I maintain, I think this is one of the top 5 most talented 3-year-olds. I just think distance hasn't been his friend. You get him back to doing what he wants to do. I think this could be one of those scenarios. Isn't it going to seem a little bit silly? Now, again, everyone's going to have him in multis. But, I mean, wouldn't it be silly after the race you look back and say, oh, wow, Practical Joke paid $9. This is what everyone has said he's wanted to do. And by the way, it's Chad, route to sprint. What else do you need to know? This is what the man does.
Won the Hopeful, the 2-year-old big race at Saratoga at 7 furlongs last year. Overcame trouble in the Dwyer. We talked about that when discussing Tale of Silence.
He was awesome that day, too.
Are you worried about the rail? What kind of trip
No,
is
not
it
really.
Work out here?
Not really. Simply because TAKAFUL's got to go. I know that. You're going to have Wild Shot, who's going to be forwardly placed. You're going to have the other horses go on from the outside. I think he just sits in and waits. I think he's going to work out something very similar to the Dwyer.
All right, now that would work out really well for him. He overcame the trouble that day. Practical Joke 5-2 on the line, 1974 for Matt. I like TAKAFUL's speed. I mean, I mentioned it on Out of the Gate after as a horse to watch after he just blew away that field. He is a sprinter like Practical Joke. The 7 might give an edge to Practical Joke. We'll see if TAKAFUL can do it, but he's got big speed, and I think we're going to see that speed in here. But he's going to have to earn it, and I need every bit of that 5-1 in the morning. I'm not sure I'm going to get it.
I think he's coming down.
A lot of buzz on this horse. Again, 1974 for Matt, 279 for me in the Grade 1 Alan Jerkens. Race number 8 at Saratoga. It only kicks off a $1 million guaranteed pick 4. Best of luck.